Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Christmas Day 2020 and we already dispensed with the opening of the gifts and the stuffing of the bellies, and as I'm waiting to digest my food before I can stuff myself with the wonderful desserts that my wife has made, I decided maybe I'd sneak down here to the basement and try and get caught up on some of my flea market find videos. So what I'm going to try and do right now is actually show you some stuff I picked at an estate sale, an honest to goodness estate sale, as opposed to an estate pick. An estate pick is where I usually go out and make arrangements to go to somebody's house and look at their cache of machinist tools and make a deal with them. This was an honest to goodness estate sale, the kind of thing that we have. I'm sure you guys have them in your parts of the country too, where somebody wants to liquidate the entire contents of a house, so they hire a company who comes in. That company basically advertises it and then runs the sale. It's first come, first serve. The first people through the door are the first people in. This was advertised as a retired machinist's estate, and the only thing they showed in the photographs that indicated that this was a retired machinist was a Kennedy 7 or 8 draw toolbox. Looked really clean, looked nice, and it was closed. You couldn't see what was in it. And then the other thing was an old Craftsman machinist toolbox that the top was open and didn't look like it had a lot going on in that. So I went through the trouble of getting out there very early, getting my name on the list, the sign-up list, so that I would be number one, and I was the first person through the door. Much to my chagrin, as soon as I got through the door and I inquired about where to go to find that box, I was informed that a nephew of the deceased, whose house it was that they were liquidating, had shown up apparently and decided to take that for himself. So whatever was in that machinist toolbox and contents was gone. Any other good machinist tools that were probably there, he probably took those as well. So I was really kind of disheartened to find out that there was really nothing left machinist tool wise, but I ended up sticking around and picked a few things of interest, some common tools and stuff and just some other stuff. But the important takeaway here is, like a lot of these sales, the main objective is to get rid of stuff. So the stuff tends to be really cheap. They tell you make a pile, and then they tell you what they're willing to accept for the pile, and then if you're not happy with that, you can barter with them sometimes, depending on how early it is in the day. You know, as the day wears on, this stuff gets cheaper. Sometimes there's stuff in the morning they try to get more money for, it gets passed over. Sometimes that's still there in the afternoon, and all of a sudden they'll take less money for it. So there's a number of different things that could be going on. I ended up spending $75 on the first pile of stuff that I brought out, and then went back and picked clean everything else that I could think I could use, brought that out, and it only added another $15. And then there was one item that I missed at the very end, so I got that for $1. But so my total buyout on this was $91. So keep that in mind as we go through all of this treasure. So I'm not going to go through this stuff in any particular order. This was definitely in the second load of stuff for $15. I can tell because the quality of the stuff is pretty weak. Oh, actually, here's the item that I noticed that nobody had taken yet, so I inquired about, and I ended up getting this for $1. It's a little Tonka dump truck. It's got plastic wheels on it, stamped steel. Can't be too old, I guess, because of the fact that it's got, well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It does say made in USA, Tonka Corp. So I don't know how long Tonka's been making trucks in the U.S. But I think it's the kind of thing that, because of the condition being so good, this is the kind of thing that I could probably, tell one of my kids, hey, go put this in your garage somewhere when you grow up, and when you're an old guy like me, pull it out and get $300 for it. Who knows? Well, I tried to find out the age of this truck, and I can't find it. I found one on eBay identical to it. The seller's asking $23.50 for it, and he also doesn't say what year it is. Some of the clues that would tell you the age of the truck, or to help identify it, has a black stripe down the hood, has yellow wheels instead of chrome, plastic wheels. You know, the logo, the coloration of the logo. So on all the Tonka truck identification guides, pretty much they only come up to like 1973, and after that they kind of leave you on your own because I guess they figure those trucks don't have enough value to bother. Has square headlights. That's another dead giveaway as to the vintage of the truck. Probably this is modeled after a 1980s vintage truck, maybe, I don't know. So doesn't really have much age to it, but I only paid $1 for it, so I could sit this on a shelf till it gets dusty and old. And then, like I said, one of my kids can take it and sit it on their shelf until it's dusty and older. Here's some more stuff I found in a workshop. This is a model 235U hold-down clamp. So I forgot who makes these. Destaco. D-E-S-T-A-C-O. Destaco. I'm sure is what... I'm sure it's supposed to be said Destaco, right? Not Destaco. So this is this kind of a deal here, but then somebody mounted it to these wooden blocks with a dowel. So not quite sure what they were going for here, but this one's missing the dowel, but the same deal. I could take these off of these wood blocks and I can use them for, these are great as hold downs for thin material on like drill press, things like that. So this is just a box of, just a box of cheap brushes, always handy to have in the workshop. Buffing wheel, a wire wheel for a bench grinder, grinding stone, grinding wheel for a bench grinder. This is a Bay State abrasives, 6.5 inch wheel. Doesn't look damaged. You can, it's not a definitive check, but what you can do is you can try and ring the wheel. If you do this, hear the ringing sound? If you have a crack in a wheel and you can't see it, generally it won't ring like that. It'll have a duller sound, and that would be an indication that there's a crack you can't see somewhere, and then you don't want to use that wheel because it might come up to RPM just once before it grenades on you. One of the few machinist tools that I found, and there's a funny little story to this hook scale. So this is later in the morning, mid-morning already, and the initial rush of people had already gone through and picked and picked and picked. And I go into this outside shed area workshop, which didn't have a lot of promising items there, and I'm looking around and I'm not seeing anything. And a guy happens to walk through the door, and as he's walking into the door, he happens to notice that kind of like stuck into the side of this shelf. Actually, on the side of this shelf, the guy had cut scraps of plastic or vinyl and stapled it to the side of the shelf to make little holsters, and he had several scales stuck in there. And most of them were, you know, unremarkable. But of course, the guy who walked through the door spotted this one. So the guy pulls it out and he looks at it, and then he sees this thing on it, and he makes a comment to me that, oh, it looks like it's missing something. So then he puts it back. So I was like, oh, okay. So I pull it out and look at it and realize, no, it's not missing anything. It's a hook scale. So this is a Union Tool of Orange, Massachusetts, number 4 hook scale. So it looks just like a Starrett, but the Starrett's got, the hook scale attachment on a Starrett's got a little bit of a different design to it. So this is a little bit different animal. So this is like one of the few, what I could actually call genuine machinist tools that I was able to pick there. I think this, and I think we got maybe one other item coming up. Getting back to just general stuff, these were, there was a piece of rope suspended from above kind of going across, and he had just clipped a bunch of different things on there, and different things were hanging on there, and I noticed these two things, and I was like, oh, well, those look like grounding clamps for a welder or battery charger or something. So these are marked Mueller Electric Company of Cleveland, Ohio. I knew I was going to get these for next to nothing, so I figured why not. I think I got 5 of them. In the basement, I found a pouch for a Starrett scale, empty. This is kind of intriguing. I found this on a shelf out in the shed. It has a very a definite look and feel of something that was hardened and ground. It's got a precision ground surface on this side. Yeah, it looks like it's been ground on all sides, maybe. I don't know. And then somebody put this kind of a deal point on it for some reason. So we got this profile on here. So I don't know. These grooves on the sides here are indicative of, you know, where you would put a your hold down clamps maybe to keep this in position. So if anybody has an idea what this might have been used for, I wasn't going to just let it go to the scrapyard. I grabbed it. This is the only one I found. Here's one of, I think, 2 rolls of solder that I ended up finding on this estate. And this is 4050 alloy rosin core, 0.062 diameter, number 66. So this, you know, if this was regular leaded plumber's solder, I wouldn't bother with it. But this is the right size that could be used for electronic repair work. Tucked there on the shelf, I found these 3 boxes, which all contain Cleveland key seat cutters, and they all appear to be brand new. This was in an outdoor unheated shed, so there's some light surface rust on them, but they all appear to be unused. So we got a 3/4 inch by quarter and 2 7/8 by quarter inch key seat cutters, new old stock. And then there was a little holder he had like bolted to the wall that I didn't take, that was for holding these types of fuse boxes, and it was loaded. So I just emptied the whole thing into my bag. I got these all for, you know, again, one money with everything else. So not going to dump it all out, but I got plenty of fuses. My first trip through, I noticed a lot of files laying about and didn't pay them much mind, but on the second trip through, when I knew prices were dropping like a rock because the crowd was going away, I figured, what the heck, why not? So I grabbed up just about every single file I came across and threw it in this tray. Most of these are Nicholson files. I also just grabbed some random drill bits that were laying around, added those to the pile. I saw these metal rods just laying there, but I figured, what the heck, why leave them for the scrap guy? One of the only other machinist tools. And as I mentioned, these are dividers. Really sharp. I think these are Lufkins. Yep, that's a pair of Lufkin dividers. Not a lot of value there, but I do have one of my local buyers who, he likes Lufkin stuff, so I might be able to trade him for something. Some stones, carborundum stones, brand new. And then here's another package. That one's definitely been used. Now these look like they're used. And another roll of solder. And this is, oh, so that's interesting. I didn't notice that. Yeah, no, they're both 4060 alloy. They're both .062. They're the same. Okay. All right. So, anyways, it's been a while since I've had to buy any solder for electronics work, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's gone up quite a bit in price. So 4060 is a tin lead alloy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly. It's rosin core solder. More evidence that whoever lived there did some electronics work. This is a almost a full can of Chemtronics Electro wash, precision cleaning agent and degreaser. Used to use this stuff all the time when I worked in the trade for cleaning off PC boards and stuff. Really good stuff. It's gotten very expensive. This can is, it feels full, and I checked and it still does spray, so I took it. I ended up getting the only motor oil I found there that wasn't used motor oil. This I checked, it's open, but it's good clean motor oil. 5W30. Some Mobile 115W50, which, yeah, I checked. This has never been opened. Guy was heavy into woodworking. This is a whole big bag of what are called biscuits in the trade, and these are little cat's eye shaped wafers of, I think these are beech nut, or I forget what kind of wood these are made out of. And what happens is you have what's called a biscuit cutter, which is a tool that will cut slices or it'll cut a groove in the edge of a board, and then you cut two grooves, and then these biscuits go in between, but they get slathered with glue, and what happens is the glue causes them to swell up, and you end up doing what's called biscuit joinery for joining the edges of boards together, and makes for a really strong joint. So that's a big bag of those. Happen to see on the in the kitchen of this house, up on the shelf, I noticed these 5 Oxford single subject notebooks, brand new, nothing written in them. And I asked to make sure that this wasn't something that they had brought in to like make notes or to like keep track of something. They said no. So figured, what the hell? Kids are always needing these for school. This is another clamp that I just found in that outdoor workshop, and it's a plenty strong one. This is marked 3-inch Jiffy clamp, made in the USA. Ah, yes, I did find another machinist tool, sort of. How about a nice plastic set of calipers? General number 142s. Plastic calipers. Not much value there. It's a nice hammer. Non-marring, replaceable heads. This looks like a... actually, there's a number on here. Do we really care? Probably not, huh? Cheap hammer. Open box with care. Top. Ooh, looks good, right? Dial calipers by the looks of it. What a rip. Chinesium. Midway, these are branded. Shockproof. Made in China. They work fine, but they're just cheap-ass calipers. Upstairs, I went upstairs in the den, and on the table next to the next to a chair was this tool. I picked it up and I immediately recognized that this, for those of you who aren't familiar, is the tool for unscrewing watch backs. So if you have a wristwatch that has the type of back that needs to be twisted to be unscrewed to change the battery, this is the tool that would be used to do that. It has 2 pins here, and there's a pin missing here, but I happen to spot this was sitting right next to it, and lo and behold, what we've got here is, well, there's a little brush, but a whole bunch of bits. I want to change my own batteries on my wristwatch collection. I can do that now. There was a what we would call a wardrobe type of cabinet, an old one down in the basement. This guy was an avid sportsman and hunter. There was a lot of hunting gear and stuff like that that had obviously been taken out by previous people before the estate sale, because there wasn't that much great stuff there. This cabinet or wardrobe had a bunch of other stuff in it, in boxes and stuff. Had clearly been rifled through by several of the other people who came to the estate sale before I got to it, about an hour or so after it started. And I was digging through and going a little bit more slowly, and I spotted this box, and I thought, oh, what's that? And I opened it up, and lo and behold, what's in here is a fancy schmancy lighter. All right, and I was like, wow, look at the size of this lighter. Okay. Well, silly me, I didn't realize that what this is this is a cigarette case. So this is a cigarette case with a built-in lighter. It's engraved with someone's initials. Okay. And it is by the... Okay, this says Scharfman's, Worcester, Mass. Scharfman's was a jewelry store, family-owned jewelry store in the city of Worcester for years and years and years. So this is where somebody purchased this and had it engraved for as a gift by the looks of it. And I forgot where I saw, somewhere on this there's a name, manufacturer somewhere. Anyways, I ended up finding these online on eBay, and these average at around 30 bucks. So, that was a nice find that somebody overlooked. Like I mentioned, he was an avid sportsman. There were gun cases and things there, but no guns. All the guns had been removed from the premises by family members, most likely. But I did find this. This is a hand priming tool. It appears to be complete. I don't know if this has ever been used. Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to find a buyer for that. RCBS, I recognize this name. I've actually owned some RCBS reloading equipment back in my days when I used to shoot. I used to load my own pistol ammo. Anyways, open with care, sensitive. You can't see the name, but just barely, but I know for a fact that this is Hornady, which is another manufacturer of reloading equipment. And what this is a powder scale. So, Model M Deluxe Scale. Again, to me, looks like it's complete and never been used. Here's the little measure. Here's the little hook thing that it sits in, the balance, and the base. Don't know how expensive these are new, but that one looks like it's pretty much new in the box. And, you know, I got it for so cheap when you consider how much I paid for everything. Anybody know what this is? 3, 2, 1. Okay. This is for ice fishing. Chisel out, you chisel a hole in the ice, and then you scoop out the ice chips with this. And there were 2 of them there, and the other one was really beat up, so I just took the one. Unfortunately, no ice fishing equipment other than this to be found. No tilts, nothing. This is nice. I have not been able to really find any information on it, which is unusual because it's clearly marked Stronghold, Paragon, number 850, I think. So it's a good size clamp. You know, it's just over a foot long overall. So, and it looks like it would open up to. I'd estimate that it easily open up to an 8-inch wide width. So, go figure. I've never seen one like this. All metal. This is obviously cast. Even the handles are metal. Kind of nice. I'll keep that. And we're coming down to the wire here. This is just aluminum. Some thin pieces of aluminum scrap. So, good for projects maybe. And this is just a big hunk of steel. Got some heft to it. About 3.5 by 6 by 2. And, you know, just a good kind of thing to have here on the workbench when you want a hard surface to beat on something. 4 gallons of antifreeze. And my first thought was that it's no good, that it's used. He even marked it old type. But they're sealed. They've never been opened. I checked all 4 of them. There were a couple that were opened. I left those. But the 4 sealed jugs I took. Because antifreeze is getting so damn pricey now. The straight antifreeze is like 12 to 15 bucks a gallon at the store. The 50/50 stuff is a little cheaper. But anyways, the reason why he marked this old type was because it's the older formulation, so he didn't want to use this in his newest truck or car. But, you know, as far as for like the tractors and stuff like that, this is plenty good enough. And we've got 2 items left. Second to the last item is one of the first things that I found down in the basement. I'm sorry, 3 items left. One of the first items that I found down in the basement digging around was I found this on a shelf. And I immediately started to inquire about if there was a belt sander or a disc sander nearby, because that's clearly what this is a table for. And the coloring and everything suggests Delta, although it could be something else. I don't know. So my problem is I can't find anything to identify what the heck this came off of. Because this right here probably would be worth 30 to 50 bucks on eBay if it ends up being a Delta and I can identify the manufacturer, because these tend to get damaged or go missing. So, you know, somewhere somebody from the estate probably took that damn sander home with them before the estate sale, so it never made it to the sale, and they probably wonder where the heck this thing was. I found it, so I took it. Definitely looks to me like belt sander by the looks of the wear I'm seeing right here. Although it could be also disc sander. Not going to worry about it. I'm going to try and identify it. I'm hoping maybe if I look, I was thinking if I looked really carefully I could find a casting number somewhere on this thing, but I haven't seen one yet. Well, there is actually a number 3 right there, but that's not going to tell. That's not going to tell the tale. I'm pretty confident that that's the correct one, that this is for a Delta combination 4-inch belt, 6-inch disc sander. I looked at several photographs of this model sander. Unfortunately, unlike the ones that are, you know, the larger cast iron tables, this doesn't have that much value. I can't imagine. I haven't been able to find a previous sale of one on eBay, but let me put it this way: I found the previous sales of the complete sander for as little as 150 bucks. So, you know, how much is somebody going to pay for this, I guess, is the question. Well, I'll eventually get to the bottom of it. So we got 2 more items to go. Next up is an item that got dug out from deep in underneath the stairs. So I ended up putting it in my pile, and I know nothing about Boy Scout collectibles. But I now know that, based on what I see online, that this is pretty worthless. I mean, there must have been just so many of these made over the years that they must be very common, because looks like I've seen these sell on eBay for as little as $1, and then, you know, they pay shipping, but they average out to being only worth about probably between $8 and $10. I mean, I guess I could be overlooking something, but it looks like pretty much like all the other ones I see selling very cheaply. It says Boy Scouts of America National Council, 100% cotton, and it's dirty. Got some dents in it. Probably pretty worthless. So it turns out being the first through the door did help out, because I was the first through the door, and when I found out the toolbox wasn't there and started looking around, I spotted tucked in underneath the staircase in the dark was this Delta planer. It's 12-inch portable planer. And this is the thing that I drug out with my first pile of stuff that made my first pile cost me 75 bucks. So I figure I paid 50 bucks for this, and the other 25 was for the other junk. And then later the other pile was $15 more. So out of that $91 that I spent that day, I figure 50 of it I spent on this, and I think I can flip this pretty quick. And yes, I do have the outfeed and infeed extension tables. I did find those. They were with it. The only thing it needs is a new handle. The crank handle on the top was missing. I have already ordered a new handle off of eBay. Replacement handle is, I think it was like 20 bucks. So I'll be into this for like 70 bucks, and I'm probably going to turn around and sell it for about 175. The blades are in really good condition. I'm not keeping it because I have almost the same model there. That's actually a little bit later model. That has the fold down tables that stay with it. This is an earlier version, which has the stamped metal tables that actually click on. They kind of sit on those screw heads that protrude down on the base there. So anyways, that's basically it. That was this whole sale. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Take care.